It's
All views expressed by the hosts and guests in this podcast are solely their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of their respective employers. Guests and hosts may maintain positions in the assets discussed in this podcast. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and nothing in the podcast is intended to be financial, legal, or even life advice.
GM everyone, welcome back to another episode of More Than Speculation. Today's episode, we are actually doing everything maybe speculation related or not. We have DeFi.app, one of the most up and coming, well, again, it's one of the most popular DeFi apps, no pun intended, as the name suggests in like recent months. So we will just jump right into it. Let's get started with the rapid fire questions.
All right, what's up, Shreddy? All right, rapid fire question. Community, tech, or price?
Oof. Damn. Hard hitting right off the bat. I would have to say community. I think it's like really hard for Web3 products, even if they have great tech. Price action is great, right? But not all projects need a token. So I think like if you're going to shoot for anything, probably community.
What is the best type of DeFi farm right now?
If you like the Berachain ecosystem, there's a ton of like great, liquid staking stuff there with Bera. In the past, I've always been a big fan of LP staking. I think there's a lot of opportunity these days with like Uni V3 farms and some stuff with V4 hooks coming out. But yeah, I think right now, if you're looking for farming, Bera's great. Points farming on something like Sonic might be underrated. But yeah, that or LP. If you can stomach the impermanent loss.
Okay. What's the best type of airdrop?
The one that gives you the most money.
I was hoping that you're gonna leak something about your airdrop. Cool. All right. Which part of the UX right now is worse for DeFi?
Probably. It's a good question. Probably for us, and something we're always trying to improve upon is actual swap flow. I think that's still tough in DeFi.
All right. Okay. Let's get it. If I don't know what is DeFi.app, what's the pitch? Can you do that in 2 to 4 lines?
Yeah, for sure. DeFi.app is, I would say the easiest onboarding solution for a new person to get started with DeFi in minutes. We always have our tagline, it's so easy that your grandma could use it, right? We're built for that.
Okay. If after this
Got it. Wait, so just like very, very quick, like if for our uninitiated like listeners, what kind of products or services that you offer, right? Yeah. And how do you make money?
You can swap any token on any chain. You can access any yield farm or any perp all in one place. Everything's gasless, bridgeless, near instant, and full self-custody.
All right. Yeah, thanks for that. So I actually love, like, you guys have one of the best ads. Like, it's quite top quality promo that you have. Editor, please put this ad right here to quickly flow it.
This is Nana. And this is Dan. If Nana can't complete the DeFi speedrun challenge in under 45 seconds, Dan gets tased by this guy. And we're off. Create EVM, Bitcoin, and Solana wallets with her email. Done. Buy some ETH with her credit card with no KYC. Done. Swap ETH to a Solana meme coin, no gas, one click. Done in 12 seconds. Long the same meme coin with 5x leverage. Done. Enter a yield farm with her leftover ETH. Click, click, done. And she did it. All done in 25 seconds flat. You know what? Let's tase Dan anyway, because he wears socks with sandals.
Yeah, tell us more about yourself.
So I'm Shreddy. Been around in DeFi for a while. I, kind of been in and out of crypto since I want to say like 2016, 17. I actually got started contributing in 2020 when I joined up with a very infamous protocol called Olympus DAO, which really made me like cut my teeth on DeFi in general. Led the marketing team there for a while. I've worked at various, yield strategy protocols like Jones DAO, Radiant in terms of lending protocols, and that all of that ultimately led me here to DeFi.app.
Like right off the bat, because you mentioned yield strategies, given the fact that these days, like there seems to be like a lot more of these type of like companies, we have like Veda, Concrete, blah, blah, like how, just purely your opinion, like how do you foresee the landscape of like these like strategy curators?
Yeah. I mean, I think that for most people, what they really want is more of the token that they already hold, right? That's why ETH staking is so popular, Bitcoin staking, different stablecoin yield opportunities. So when you start to it's very hard for people to conceptualize like yield opportunities on tokens that maybe they don't hold, and they would have to diversify into. I think the best and most popular products that will continue to succeed will focus on providing really, I guess, I don't even know if stable would be the right term, but consistent yield strategies on top assets, blue chips and stables. I think that's going to be the key.
So it's going to be mostly like majors yielding more majors.
Yeah.
It's not just stablecoin. Yep.
People who farm tokens, like farm alt tokens, are inherently playing a risky game anyways. And the safety of a blue chip does more work for yield strategies than, a higher yield or something like that.
Nice. All right. Before getting any more, shall we just walk through the app real quick so everyone can visualize what you guys do? If Marco, can you do the honors?
We can do it together. So, okay, the first thing to say is to step. Oh my God, we're still working out some stuff with DBank. We're getting new indexers soon, and you actually should be able to see it. I mean, sorry, brother. That actually it's probably how a lot of people feel that they lost 14 mil. Yeah. So there are actually two ways to onboard onto DeFi.app. I see here that you're using an EOA with a smart account wallet. When you log into the app for the first time, you're given two options. You can either use an external wallet, an existing external wallet, or you can log in with a social, like an email, a Twitter, something like that. If you do that, actually, let's see, you probably already have somewhat of a smart account. You can hop back into the app, and I can walk through this with you. Just use whatever you used before. And then go to the settings up in the top right, and we don't have to flash anything. And just click on that the OXC4 wallet right there. That second one. Yep. Yeah, just go ahead and activate that wallet there. There you go. So you'll see that if you just X out of here, nothing in this portfolio. The reason is when someone logs in with a social, right, or they add these accounts to their existing, EOA account that they've already opened, we essentially create them what we like to consider a smart account. So we make two wallets for them, one for EVM, one for SVM. And what that allows us to do is abstract away stuff like, gas management, transactions, cross-chain interactions, anything like that. And once this is funded, the user sort of has in our opinion, an as good or better experience to a centralized exchange. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, would you want to switch and I can put my screen up because I've got a smart account up and loaded. Let's do that. Let me share this. Can you guys see? Lovely. All right, so this is my smart account. You see I've got a couple Solana memes here that are trending upwards nicely today, which is great. Two things that one or two things that I love here. So DeFi app can actually be a really easy bridging tool if you want to use it. Like let's say you had some ETH and you wanted to bridge it between, I don't know, Base and Arbitrum. You can deposit that ETH into the smart account and then withdraw it to the destination of chain of your choice. And, without having to think about, going to any other aggregator or anything like that, you can just simply do it from here, deposit and withdraw. And the deposits and the withdrawals are like super fast, very quick. So it's quite easy. I wish I could show off perps because we do actually have this coming out quite soon and I do have it in a dev branch. But I would say, the other thing that I really love about this is just like, let's say I want to, I would say like, let's say I just want to go from mini to something like, I guess Sol is kind of basic, but USDC. What oftentimes you'll see, I think this should be enough. Oftentimes you'll see is that any stable swap or maybe like blue chip token swap is going to land on the same chain. But one of the good things is like if you're on ETH mainnet, right, and you have a token there and you want to get out into stables or something else that's available on other chains, we're actually going to bridge you over to a cheaper chain so that the next time that you execute a swap, you will have a better experience. So I think that like this allows me to feel like I can just freely trade and swap tokens, and the app will always like push me towards a more efficient outcome. So those are two things right now that I really love. There's a lot we haven't revealed yet that I also really love, but I can talk about those later. Maybe do a little alpha tease.
Supporting this. The underlying tech supporting this.
I'm not sure if it's just me that's lagging. Yeah, but I think your like internet is a bit lagging. Bro.
Sorry. Okay. Do you mind me asking what's the underlying of the tech? Like how does everything work under the hood?
Yeah. So actually, curse of the demo. Let's see if this will actually give us a nice swap. But instead of going to USDC, let's go to something like ARB, which I know will initiate a bridge. So when a user, let's say, you can even do this with like pump fund assets, right? You can post contract addresses in here, cover all liquidity on all the chains that we support. When someone requests a swap from one token to another, we ping multiple different providers. Relay is, one that often comes up. We also have Li-Fi, we have dBridge, DSwap. For same chain stuff, we have 1inch. You'll get an estimated cost breakdown. Looks a little bit high today. I think gas on Arbitrum is a little bit spiky. Another question that we always get is like, why do gas fees and transaction fees on DeFi seem a bit higher than other places? Mainly the reason is just like limitations on the architecture side. So I mentioned that smart account, right? That's hosted by Dynamic. In the future, maybe Dynamic will have the ability to have, direct native interactions with these apps. But the way it is now, there's just a bit of an added cost for the convenience. But that convenience is like quite great, right? So whatever the token is, in ins and outs, we're going to ping multiple different providers, and we're just going to choose the best one for the user, kind of like how DeFi Llama Swap does, and it'll give you, 5 or 6 different options, but we just choose the top one and go ahead and send that transaction off.
pretty smooth. So all right, I'm gonna go right into the speculation part because like the product is proven to be pretty smooth. I know a lot of people are doing that guild thing or yield thing, like and they're speculating on points. Like, do you mind giving me like a quick rundown? How does it work? Why? How did you guys design this, etc.?
For sure. Actually, here, yeah, it's good that I've got my screen up. We can kind of switch over to the Degen Arena. So give this a moment to spin up here. The Degen Arena kind of came out of an idea for us of trying to create a campaign that took some of the best parts of some of the campaigns from the last, 2 to 3 years, Blast, your, Blur, which, kicked all this stuff off, your LRT campaigns, Eigen, all this stuff, and kind of said, all right, how do we separate the wheat from the chaff? What are the things that really worked well for that? One of the things that we noted was that oftentimes points campaigns that put the power of earning points into the hands of different groups did very well. So that's what we focused on here, was try to say, we don't need to handpick and select communities for point, drops or anything like that. We can actually give that opportunity not only to, protocols. You see Camino here, we've got, Li-Fi, Balancer, the list goes on, but also individuals and groups. So we have, some trading groups, some individual influencers, and everybody here gets the option to accumulate these points. And if you align with one of these protocols, you essentially, it's part of like half trading campaign, half social campaign, where it would be in your best interest to maybe, get some other people on board. The cool thing about this is also when you make a referral code, if you're in one of these factions, your referral code also lets other people join the faction you're already in. So it can create this nice, like, this tree, this web of referral. But yeah, the idea here was just to say, hey, we can, as people are just using the app, doing whatever they're doing day to day, they should be earning some points for it. And then we wanted to apply a bonus pool on top for the top 50. So that's kind of that's kind of a highly regarded position to achieve. But it's cool to see the game theory kind of play out here. You've got like FOMO Ventures killing it, 11.5 thousand people in here. But then you've got someone like, Degen Capital, Triple Y, that are getting still only 50% of the bonus, but with, I don't know, a magnitude difference between the user base. So, yeah.
Nice.
Got it.
So
what's the like?
So what kind of actions are you incentivizing, and are they treated equal? Is it like the amount held? Is it the swapped? Is it going to be the lending amount, or the strategies that you guys that they use on you, kind of thing?
Yeah. The cool thing here is actually we added this recently. You can see the breakdown. So most of it thus far has been swaps. That's been more or less one of the only things that you had been able to do on the app. We recently added in a holded assets points, qualifier. Working on a couple things now as well in terms of like multipliers, boosts, bonuses. So, what we can do is say, hey, balancer, if you're holding BAL or certain balancer assets, go ahead and hold those, and you might get a multiplier or something like that. And I think as other actions come about, like perps, yield strategies, you'll start to see a different separation between these different, yield opportunities as they relate to points. And then you'll also see that reflected here, right? So, there's been a lot of mathing, number crunching going on what makes XP and how much you get per what, interaction, but it's going to continue to change as we add more things.
use the cheapest way to get as much points, right? In some sense.
Mm-hmm.
How long are you guys going to run this for? Or how does the point structure work? Like infinite till you launch token and there'll be a percentage of it. Like feel free to like be like, just tell me to chill, bro. Like if I'm asking too much.
I could say that we're actively looking at when the best time to conclude this would be, but haven't settled yet. You can see that we have a progress bar here. You know, as this continues to trend towards this, I also wouldn't say that this needs to fill up before something happens. And that also doesn't mean that the amount of points would change. I would say we're just looking into it, and the other stuff, I probably can't go into it at this point. But you actually will hear some stuff very soon.
Got it. Wait, so before you leak some like alpha or like anything like that, I want to take a step back a bit. Like I feel that we're seeing, I guess maybe it's fair for me to say that you guys are kind of competing with the likes of like Infinex, but we are like seeing more and more of like an aggregation model, right? In which like you want DeFi to be as easy as possible, and like everybody can access all the different things inside one app. Wondering if, like given that seems to be like where the industry is heading towards, do you kind of foresee like any growth or like distribution strategy that's often like overlooked if you're like competing as an aggregator? Like is there any successful like go-to-market strategy or like tips that you would share?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I'll say that one thing for us is that we're happily surprised, but well within our expectations of what we planned for, our volume numbers and stuff like that. I think if you would go to DeFi Llama and look at DeFi.app and look at the page and see the values, we're classed as aggregator, but I don't even think that's probably the correct term. I don't think the industry or vertical that DeFi.app is, or Infinex, or any other tool like that, I don't think it's really been defined yet. But I would say that what we think about is, being like a meta aggregator, always passing the opportunity on to whatever we're integrating with. So if it's a swap aggregator or bridge aggregator, that's, it is our volume, but it is also their volume. Same with like yield strategies, right? So the TVL may sit on DeFi.app, but be with Athena or Stargate or whatever. And then I would also say that one thing that's really overlooked, it's hard to do, but I think it's really critical, especially for an app like this, is exactly that, is to make an app, like a mobile app. I'll say that, that's something I can probably talk about and leak. It's very near finished, especially on the Android side. I'll tell you, I've got the testing for the iOS version. Looks really great. I think it is hard to have a retail focused product without having a mobile app.
For sure.
What's the final form of Degen DeFi.app? If that's like you can just pick and do it, what would it be?
Yep. Final, what we would consider mainnet would be swaps, easy to access perps, and easy to access yield strategies. And I would qualify that perps should be multiple supported dexes, similarly to how we look at multiple supported swap aggregators. And earn should be, a very nice one-click. Yeah. Also, that's another thing, and happy to talk about that as well. But a permissionless and modular version of DeFi app, where someone could either hook into it or us to them, and DeFi app kind of becomes a conduit for projects to gain more visibility or whatever, right? Or use what we built.
Understood. All right, I heard earn and yield. I got interested. So what kind of stuff are you guys going to cook there?
Yeah. this will be coming very soon, and I know all of these are kind of blurred out and blurb blocked, but the idea for us would be pretty simple, as all of this is, right? So we want to start very top level and say, hey, things like Coinbase Earn or Robinhood's earn strategies, forget what it's called. The idea for them is to kind of say, you can have a high yield savings account analogous product, but you can do it with crypto. And what we want to say is, you can still have that. You can be using DeFi, so you're custodying your funds, your tokens, and you can get better yields. So their lending rates are have been pretty high recently, and there's tons of different yield strategies for blue chips. I think top level for most people, what we want to urge them towards is bringing on cash to put in stable strategies, right? Or if they already own ETH, Sol, BTC, whatever it is, put that in DeFi.app and just don't worry about finding a yield strategy. Let us do some sort of index risk adjusted strategy that you can just sit and let the tokens yield. However, we're also looking into offering more for maybe an on-chain user or an on-chain curious user. Athena, Stargator here. I think a good example would be something like Pendle, where Pendle has a lot of offerings. And maybe you just want to look at them or constantly, be urged or reminded what's there. You'll be able to access, what Pendle has to offer within DeFi.app. You'll be able to access what pools Stargate has to offer, or Aave, or Morpho, or anything like that. We want to make those open to users, but we also don't want to, push too much in front of them at once. So the idea here would be to open up more opportunities for on-chain curious users, but also curate that as well.
Got it. Dude, are you able to disclose anything around your token?
No.
Okay, that's a very fair question. We want to ask you if there's any strategic question you want to ask us.
Ooh, let me think about that for a second. What do you guys? I have been hard pressed myself to find what is the most compelling narrative for crypto these days. And I know that Lambros, you do a lot of work on this through threading and all that. I would like to know what do you think is most what excites you the most about DeFi, about crypto right now?
So I think there's two parts. So from product point of view, I think the only innovation this past year is Athena's execution is bringing use case to a yield-bearing stablecoin, and Fluid bringing lending and yield and liquidity LP into one thing. Pendle in doing points and what they're going to do with V3. However, that's what a DeFi lover wants, let's say from a using point of view, from token investment, early stage point of view. But buying secondary, I think, is a different case, just because I know the attention is not there right now. I do believe there might be a wave of tokens when GMGN or all those trading terminals issue a token, because I do think those are the future, and because the revenue is so high on that, I hope that would bring in the more serious money and people that would believe something for more than a month to hold it. But right now, just because it's not the narrative or the product that I don't believe, but it's more because I know others don't believe, so I can't hold it as well.
Right. Yep, I know what you're saying.
It becomes reflexive. Yeah.
Marco, what about you?
If everyone's legit, I gotta be a quick legit.
Yeah. Can't be the one holding the bag.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna give the non-DeFi answer. Okay, I'm trying not to give too much of a VC answer, but okay, I really do think I like to see where all the new fast chains are gonna be, because I think once you use Solana, man, going back to like mainnet is like holy shit, bro. Like, but like I think we will feel that experience even more once chains like Mega, Fogo, like all of the new like super fast like SVM adjacent, or even like L2s, are like live, right? Like I just really want to see like the level of difference. I was like playing around with like some testnet, and you can feel that, but that's testnet. So like if that experience they can really put it for like mainnet and like at scale, I think we are like really opening it up to like the masses there.
Yeah. And the faster and more efficient that stuff gets, like the easier our job gets, right? Because at the end of the day, we can only run something like DeFi.app at the speed of whatever chain it's built on, and it's typically pretty quick, right? You guys probably remember, originally we started building a lot of the features in DeFi.app to solve the EVM to Solana issue, where it was really difficult to get back and forth between EVM and Solana. It would, it was like 15 minutes, 30 minutes to get transactions across. You could only do a few tokens, like, ETH stables, whatever. But now things are getting a lot faster, a lot more open. And I think like, even though things get fragmented, it's not that hard to bring it all back together. And I think that's why we built this, right? Like
all the solutions are getting better. Yeah. Like the LiFis and so on. Yeah.
Exactly. No matter where you want to play, you can access that token or product easily. But I like that. That's great.
All right, bro. Let's jump to the last question.
What do you think is required to make it in crypto?
For a person or a team?
Up to you.
Anything. It's an open-ended question. Yeah.
I would say for a person, I went on a space recently. It was like the theme was a beginners tips for crypto. And I, we all do it. You just have to fail a little bit and kind of understand, where you've went wrong. I really think like for the individual, it's, don't bet more than you're willing to lose, for sure. I think a lot of people get wrecked because they bet like, their mortgage money on on a token play. I think that's a really bad idea. But then also I would say like there's so many tools out there that are, super helpful, even just the basic stuff. Like a lot of people don't really even look at like, CoinGecko or DexScreen or whatever. That stuff is great. And then I would say for a team, I would say, I'll remain humble and say even we wouldn't really know. But I would say that it's like a very focused, laser focused idea, right? Like you need to have something that you want to accomplish. And for us, it was like crypto UX simplicity. And so that's all we do. Most of our team is actually like design and front end UX oriented, because that's what we want to push on the most. And then I would also say that for teams, a huge question often is like, how do we market or grow this product? I would say your best friend right now, especially because we all use it every day, is crypto Twitter, is X. X and DMs, and it'll probably change soon. I've been hearing stuff about that, has been our kind of like most critical growth tool so far. Just really reaching out to people. I feel like some people say, hey, we don't know if we really want to reach out with the main account. We're, afraid of this and that. Just send those messages and like send like retweet stuff and like tweets and share tweets from people, even if it kind of clogs up the feed, because people love that stuff, Community goes back to the first question, right? Like cultivate
Awesome.
that core.
Making it full circle.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Hey, again, thanks for jumping on.
All right, man.
Thanks for jumping on. Again, we will leave all of the show notes below. You can check out DeFi.app when this is live. Their perps might also be already live. So again, all of the show notes are down below. And yeah, until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right.